Da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da,
Uh,
da-da-da. Good evening and welcome to the Late Trade. I am Jonathan Ibanez.
I am Anaki Rashid.
I am Per Jorgensen.
This is I'm gonna stop doing it, or else we're gonna lose all of our listeners. This is the show where we review all the movies decades late, and it is spooky season. It is October. It is time to get scared. So that's why we reviewed today, or we watched Count Dracula.
I just want to specify it's the 1970 version. It's not the 1958
Yes,
one.
this
In
is
case you guys got excited.
No, this is the 1970 Count Dracula film, starring Christopher Lee. But apparently he's played Dracula like a million billion times. So I'm glad that I went based off the year and not based off the actor. I probably would have watched the wrong movie again.
He starred in 4 different Dracula movies, all released in 1970. But
How did that happen?
I don't know.
It's so much so that Christopher Lee was very bitter about it. He talked about he hates playing a villain all the time. He says, I played Dracula so much, I'm never going to play Dracula again. I hate the role. Pretty much is what he was saying.
But he said he agreed to do this movie based off the fact that they told him it would be very faithful to the book, which is kind of sad because it really isn't that faithful to the book, but that's how they branded it.
Oh, really? Here's the thing. I was watching this movie not to show my hand or anything, but I was watching this movie and I'm like, I bet this is way more suspenseful in the book. Or I bet this part is much better written in the book.
About that, but I won't get into it right now.
Okay. So this is, Dracula needs no introduction. He's a vampire, and he has got a spooky castle. And this movie starts. I love the start of it because, first of all, our main character Jonathan first of all, I like his name. That's pretty good.
Obviously.
But also, he's wearing like this Sherlock Holmes cape, which I thought was pretty stylish. And right off the bat, we find out something about this movie that is probably one of its best qualities, in my opinion, is that every single time that there's a one-liner, there is just gratuitous close-ups.
Yes,
of zoom in.
All the time. They
zoom in the perfect
like every 25 seconds. There's a zoom in. It's insane.
Yeah. So the first one, I just wrote the first one down because if I had written all of them down, they would have filled up my paper. But he said the guy's talking to Jonathan, and because Jonathan tells him he's going to Count Dracula's castle, and the guy tells him, "May God help you, for you may need God's help." Zoom, and he's just very serious. It's fantastic, and it feels very 70 to me.
Yeah.
They might have actually added something to the film because without the zoom-ins, I'm already going to show my hand. This movie is hollow. It's a hollow corpse of a movie. So anything that gives me joy in this movie, I'm going to give it points for. And that's one of the things that did bring me joy. I love the zoom-ins were part of be the best part of the entire movie.
That first zoom-in cracked me up. I loved it so much.
Oh, I literally laughed out loud. I'm like, oh, we're doing this kind of movie. I almost thought like, oh, are we doing Flash Gordon again? Because this is... But
I wish it was like Flash Gordon, though.
Me too.
Yeah.
So basically, our character Jonathan, he's a lawyer, and for whatever reason, we find out Count Dracula wants to move to England, just like everybody does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we never really find out a reason. He just wants to get away from his castle in Transylvania. And our main character has to stay the night with him because he's basically brokering the deal of selling him this castle in London. And this castle, as you can imagine, is creepy as hell. You can't see Dracula in the mirror, all the jazz. And he gets so freaked out. He literally gets so freaked out, he jumps out a window.
Yep.
Which I hope that I never get that freaked out that I decided to jump out of the second story.
It reminded me of Hereditary.
Oh, no.
Because that's what happens in Hereditary.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of assumed that he wants to move to London to find a new corral of victims, right? Because people already kind of know of him in
They're scared.
Transylvania, right?
That's true, because Jonathan mentions that he's going to go see Count Dracula, and everyone kind of gives him the evil eye, and everyone's kind of like doesn't know whether to fear him or pity him.
Yeah.
So I could see that. That makes sense.
You get introduced to Dracula, and the thing I was looking most forward to was Christopher Lee watching this movie, because he's Christopher Lee. I was excited, and like you hear a lot about his Dracula, and this isn't necessarily the one that made him famous, but right off the bat, I felt like it almost felt like he was holding back, or I don't know. I also feel like in general, and I don't know if we should start talking about this, but I was expecting more Dracula in the movie.
Yes, he's barely in the movie.
Yeah, and I feel like the only moment you get where he's like Dracula is that little monologue he has at the beginning when he and Jonathan are talking, like at the fire. And that was pretty cool. But then after that, you don't really see him at all. And when you do, he's just sucking on ladies' necks. So,
yeah.
Okay,
which I want to talk about that because, because I don't know anything about the book. I'm assuming if anyone knows about the book, I feel like it'd be Pear. Like, from the beginning of Dracula, has the whole sucking blood had a sexual undertone?
Oh, yeah.
It does in Twilight. It does in this movie.
Since the dawn of vampires. No, since the dawn of vampires, it's always been very sexual. It's theorized that incubi and vampires come from the same root of legend. So
incubi are spirits, for those who don't know, who basically fuck you.
They're like male succubi. They are sexy men who are demons who seduce women, right? And they think the vampires came from the same thing. But yes, it's always been very sexual and sensual, right? Just like the harpies. I'm not sure they call them the harpies in the movie, but you know, his female vampire companions. In the books, they're very, very sexy with Jonathan. So there's always kind of a sensual part of getting bitten by a vampire, right? The vampire seduction, the vampire's kiss. It's all about, right? Is that also in the book? Dracula's a lot more charming. He's very charming and cordial and polite and handsome, right? And it's like that a lot in the 1958 version.
He just feels like he's lacking so like charisma. Like he just doesn't have as much energy or as much charm as I expected him to have. He kind of just is brooding most of the time.
Well, yeah, because of all the monsters, I mean, Dracula is the most fabulous. Let's be real, right? He wears a cape. He plays pretentious music on his organ. Like
he's from the 18th century.
If he didn't suck blood, he might be kind of cool to hang out with, you know?
Yeah. Which also brings me to, and Pear heard me talk about this a lot today, so sorry, but like I felt like the set of the mansion itself was also really lacking, because that's how I imagine him, is this like extravagant guy with like this huge, as you say, organ and just cool like settings in the manor, even though it's like it should still be creepy. It's the mansion itself felt really empty to me and kind of sad. And there were cobwebs. There's too many cobwebs to me.
Well, there's cobwebs and there's obviously plastic spiders. It's awesome. Apparently this movie was way low budget.
I can believe that.
Which like they did some shooting in Romania, but like they ran out of money or something, and so there was like financial issues. So that's definitely explains why the mansion is subpar and is basically just an empty castle.
And I felt like it was some kind of level of incompetence. There's no mise en scène, as they say, in this movie. There's no information in the screen. And I'm going to compare it to the 1958 one, because the 1958 should have gotten an Oscar for its camera work. It's amazing. If you just want to watch like the first 10 minutes after this, Jonathan, you'll agree with me. It's so good. So in this movie, there is no character or life in any of the shots at all. And
or any of the people.
Yes, it's so enthralling in the original. And I mean, Nanaki's totally right, is that there isn't this sense that Dracula is this seductive, rich man, right? It feels everything feels very sudden, not cohesive, not realized. It really feels like this movie, they were kind of just like forcing themselves forward without really a plan or anything. I don't know. It seemed like, yeah, maybe they just ran out of money because they were lacking in so many departments in this movie.
Also, one thing I thought about too is this whole movie's the same color. It's all brown.
Yeah, I think like my favorite scenes visually were like at the very beginning as they're going to the castle, because it's very blue and it is atmospheric because it's really foggy and the woods are kind of creepy. They kind of go overboard with the dogs and like the sounds in the forest, you know.
That was awesome. I love the guy. Never mind. Yeah, keep going.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean they kind of go crazy with everything. I think every little aspect when they're trying to make things scary. But I thought the atmosphere itself was really cool. And the first introduction of Count Dracula, when they meet and you don't even know it's Dracula yet, but you know it is because Christopher Lee's voice is so cool. Like I thought that whole setup was really cool. It's just when they actually got to the mansion, it was a lot more underwhelming, I think, and not as creepy and cool.
Yeah, well, and after, like you said, after he gives his monologue about his family and where he comes from, like after that, the coolness factor really goes away.
Yeah. That is the best part of the movie. He says, the children of the night, such sweet music they make.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a really famous line that I love hearing it every single time.
When he hears like the dogs howling outside.
Yeah, apparently vampires, at least in this version, can turn into dogs too, and like any animal. Is that a thing from the book? I didn't know that.
Wait, he turned into a dog?
Dogs. He only turns into a bat.
They mentioned that vampires. Van Helsing mentions that he can turn into dog or any other beast.
Oh, huh.
It's like a throwaway line. So that's the deal with the dogs. I think it's suggested that they're vampires too.
They're the harpies. It's possible that they're the harpies.
They're harpies. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, and when all the animals start coming to life, like there's this scene where so at the end of the movie, we'll get back to the middle maybe in a bit, but at the end of the movie, they find out how to kill Dracula, and they walk into his castle, and basically the first room they go to is his taxidermy room. Apparently he has a room where he has a stuffed badger, a stuffed boar, stuffed dogs, anything you want, it's stuffed. And they start moving and start like going into attack. And it's great because there's no animation, there's no puppetry. It's literally just like an completely immobile thing that they're shaking. Like they take the badger and you can almost see the guy's hand in the shot. They just shake it. It's not moving realistically at all. It's awesome.
That scene, it's so funny. I can't.
And I don't even remember how they get away, but they do somehow.
Well, okay, that's the other thing.
I know what it is. I can say it.
Say it.
So, elsewhere, I don't remember who it is, but they pull up the crucifix and they show it to Dracula. So at that same time, he has, I'm forgetting the character's name, but Dracula has his like mind control over Klaus Kinski. What's the character's name?
Renfield.
Renfield, yes. So he has his mind control over Renfield, and then I think it's Jonathan, maybe one of the women, I don't remember. They show the crucifix out the window to Dracula, and then he goes, hey! And then all of the animals just go back to being taxidermied, and suddenly, I already forgot it again. Klaus Kinski stops strangling Lucy. Renfield, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so to give the overall plot, just really briefly, so they meet Dracula, they go back, Dracula kills Lucy, I guess, over time.
Who is the friend of Jonathan's fiance.
Yeah, the friend of Jonathan's fiance. And then, like, for most of the movie, it's in the psychiatric hospital, which is another complaint of mine, where, like, just, like, most of the plot and such happens while Jonathan's in this hospital, and then you meet Renfield, and then you see all these scenes of Renfield acting weird.
There's no payoff to Renfield.
Yeah, no. There isn't any payoff to Renfield, and it's unclear. It's unclear why he has this like connection to
Maybe
Dracula.
They just needed a big, like a famous actor besides Christopher Lee, because Klaus Kinski, although he's not like famous, he's like one of the most respected actors of all time. So maybe, I don't know. But oh yeah, this is a good time to bring up your little factoid about what Klaus Kinski did during the movie, Anaki.
So Klaus Kinski, he plays Renfield, who's this psychiatric patient at the same hospital that Jonathan ends up at. And
it's Van Helsing's hospital. Van Helsing is a professor, and he owns a hospital, I guess.
Yeah. And so his character is a zoophagus, I think is how you pronounce it. So the concept is, and I guess he parallels Count Dracula in that he feels as though he has to eat living things in order to extend his own life. So you see that character eating flies and like dragonflies and stuff as a way. And he like won't eat normal food because he feels like, so, but apparently that actor actually ate real bugs during filming.
Ew.
It doesn't surprise me at all. Klaus Kinski is really infamous for being extremely method, never ever breaking character on set. If he's on set, he's in character. If you talk to him, he's in character. He took acting so ridiculously seriously that it was like a pain in the ass for directors a lot. And so yeah, anyways, I'm just being a Klaus Kinski fanboy right now. You don't have to listen to me.
So if we're going on, Jonathan's fiance's friend dies. So Jonathan's fiance's friend fiance shows up, and basically Van Helsing's like, okay, I'm going to be straight with you. You know how the doctors, Jonathan told you were out of your mind when you said you saw, whatever this was? Actually, vampires are real. It's all true. I studied the black arts in my spare time, which is like, oh, what a charming personality this guy is. He's got to be really fun at parties.
Well, I mean, he's Van Helsing.
Yeah.
He's vengeance incarnate in the iterations.
Yeah, but not so much in this iteration. Again, there's no character to any of these people. And literally we hang out at the psychiatric hospital for like an hour, it feels like. And we're just kind of talking about vampires, only kind of, but we're not really interested. And then Jonathan and the other guy basically go and like kill Lucy, who's now, or kill the fiance's friend, who's now a vampire and is eating kids' blood. Which means that kids have turned into vampires. We never kill a kid vampire, so I don't know what happens there. And basically they go to kill Dracula, and the movie kind of ends. The closing shot is really cool. They set Christopher Lee on fire, which is awesome because as he gets burned, he gets older and older. Like all the years start catching up with him. And eventually you get like a plastic Christopher Lee. It looks nothing like Christopher Lee.
It's really funny that that's a part of the original movie and of the book that doesn't happen to the other vampires that are killed, is something that I noticed.
I always figured that the other vampires weren't as old as Dracula, so they didn't have the whole aging thing happen.
Oh, that's true. They don't wait, no, but they do kill the harpies. And the harpies are very old.
Oh. Maybe it only happens to the men because women have to be sexy even when they're dying.
But in the 1958 version, they have an old ass lady. No, it doesn't matter.
It feels like everything happens and you don't really understand the connection between characters or like the stakes. They never feel.
There were characters in this movie?
Yeah. They do kind of feel like just props almost. Especially,
I just want to say, as we are just skipping around, I wanted to make this point when we got there in the plot, but it's fine, is that this movie was so low budget, they couldn't even get a plastic bat as a bat. They have a little like outline in the window that's supposed to be a bat, and you can clearly see it's on strings. It's going like this in front of the window, and it's just supposed to fly. The Dracula is there, and it was so bad. I was like, you guys couldn't just get a plastic bat or anything? It was bad. It's so weird that they say, oh, this is the most faithful adaptation of the book, when it's so far. No, it's not at all. It might have just been a way to sell the movie. They said, okay, we're just gonna do this, and this is gonna get viewers, right? I don't know.
Well, it's funny because all the Wikipedia and all the online pages I read about this, it always said it purported to be the most faithful adaptation, but none of the things I read said it was the most faithful adaptation. So I took that as we're not being faithful to the book. Okay.
I think maybe, so apparently this was the first Dracula movie where they show that he was old at the beginning and then he became young. So maybe they had that one detail that's parallel to the book and they're like, yeah, this is the most faithful adaptation.
I mean, I'm going to keep comparing it to the 1958 version because I love the 1958 version. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. But Dracula and Christopher Lee is just so dashing in that movie. It's true. He's handsome. He's charismatic. You come in and you're like, oh, Christopher Lee. I'm like, oh my God. It is, he really, I don't know how I can describe this movie besides just like lifeless, when the other one has so much to it. And I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but to remake a movie 12 years later with the same actor and do just such a shitty job, like even if you just compare it shot for shot, it's terrible. If you just take it objectively, like not even like what movies you like and don't like, it's objectively terrible. It's bad.
It's almost like it's had all the life sucked out of it.
Precisely.
Very nice.
Not in a sexy manner like Christopher Lee.
Right? No, it's not sexy at all. Oh, do you guys think, how do you guys think if Dracula was still alive today? I mean,
Christopher
because
Lee.
He's still alive today.
Or Dracula.
How do you think he would feel about Count Chocula? Do you think he'd be pissed? Do you think he'd be nice?
It'd be good cover for him because he's like, oh no, I'm just dressed as Count Chocula. You see, wouldn't you like to come into my house, right?
I think he'd be jealous that he can't eat it. Like they stole his whole vibe, and then he can't even taste his own.
He would be, yeah. That would suck, I guess.
Yeah.
So what if could he eat it if he like? Because he can't eat regular food, but like if he instead of using milk, if he used blood, do you think that would like be against the rules still?
I think I don't think there's anything about that in the original vampire stories, but it's been portrayed before that they just vomit it up immediately. They chew it and they swallow it, and then 10 minutes later,
right? It's like they
it doesn't nourish them. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, well, okay, if that's the case, then I think if he covered it in blood, then he could probably eat it, yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about Twilight for a second, because I'm realizing, as we're talking, everyone talked about how Twilight ruined vampires, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the more we talk about Dracula, I feel like the more I realize that Twilight was always going to be the modern evolution of what vampires become. Because I mean, if Count Dracula was conceived out of sexual anxieties and like morbid ideas, that's just what Twilight is. Twilight is about like, what if Dracula was like a repressed Mormon?
Right. I know. I do agree with you in that sense, but I think what most where dudes are like, man, ruined vampires, is because vampires are at the very least supposed to be kind of spooky. It's like, I don't want to be around a vampire, right? It's like for example, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Vampires are very sexy. Spike, holler at me. But at the same time, when they go into a vampire, they're all ugly and they go, right? And they're still kind of terrifying and cruel and evil. Whereas they're not really, there's not really any, they're just hot in Twilight, right? That's it. They're just hot.
Aren't the bad vampires scary?
I mean, yeah, I think I do think it's I mean, you're right, is that if a vampire was alive today, that was what they would do, is be a sexy, they'd have a nice, like, arty, modern house, right? I just think people were sour that it wasn't like what they like vampires to be, in this dark, cobwebbed, you know.
I think like the issue people have with Twilight is it's much less about the supernatural stuff and much more about like Bella and wanting a hot boyfriend,
sexy man.
Yeah, it's much more focused on the romance aspect.
Yeah, it became a female fantasy. Right, that's why it really irks the boys.
That's right. Because we get to have our fantasies, the women aren't allowed to.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
It's
not
true.
it's not an, well, no, that's true, but I'm not gonna say that it's like women aren't just expected to shut the hell up. Like it's when there's a gross guy fantasy movie, women don't like it. They don't see it, right? Just the exact same thing.
Oh, what would be like a Twilight example for guys, I guess?
Twilight for guys?
Octopussy.
No, Twilight for guys would be like, okay, here's what it is. We're gonna make it big. Here's what it is. It's so Twilight is what if Dracula was a hipster. Our movie is gonna be what if Dracula was Rambo.
Oh.
So it's like
you're just kind of describing shit. What is that movie called? The Man Who Killed Bigfoot and Dracula.
That's a movie?
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need like action almost superhero status, where like
I still feel like that wouldn't be an accurate counterpart to Twilight though. Because it has to focus on a male romantic.
I think it would just be reversed. Is that there would be these sexy supernatural girls that are really obsessed with you, and they stroke your cheek and they try to
kind of like
you.
the three
and one of them
normal Dracula.
So like, for example, there would be the girl werewolf like Jacob, who would be fun and then easygoing. They'd be like, oh, do I pick the fun easygoing girl, or do I pick this seductive pale wears black and lace kind of a girl, right?
Big titty goth GF.
Pretty
or
much.
do I want the hippie GF?
Yeah.
Oh, but which is interesting enough because Stephanie Meyer's actually written at least the first few chapters. She might have done the whole book. She has gender bent the first Twilight. There's a version of it where Bella's a dude and the vampires and the werewolves are chicks.
Wait, I thought she just.
What reason did she do that?
I thought she just released Twilight, but in the perspective of Edward. I thought that was her newest book.
That is also a thing, but so this one's called Life and Death, Twilight Reimagined. And it's all the genders are swapped.
So it's written by Stephanie Meyers.
Yeah.
And it's just Twilight, but gender bent.
Yes, so she's basically writing her own fan fiction at this point, which is absolutely amazing. And if I ever become a writer, that's 100% what I'm going to do.
Well, that's how Twilight started, right? Wait.
That's how 50 Shades of Grey started.
It's a fan fiction of Twilight.
Okay, so get this.
Yeah.
And I could get this interview for us.
A really kinky chick just wrote fanfic for Twilight.
I know someone who claims that Edward was based on her dad because he went to high school with Stephanie Meyer and she was into him the whole time and he didn't care.
That I thought you were implying something way creepier than that. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I could get us that interview.
That's an exclusive.
Would be an exclusive.
That would be an exclusive. Yeah.
He played baseball. It fits.
I'd be interested.
It's like, why else would the vampires play baseball? I always thought it was like some kind of like Americana symbolism, but that doesn't really add up. So it makes a lot more sense that she's like a dude to play baseball,
I will say
that is the weirdest part of the movie.
Like vampires would be
is the coolest part of the movie by far.
When I watched this, and keep in mind I read the book, so I knew it was coming. I was still like, what the hell am I watching right now?
The Muse music in the background, the thing that one guy does. What's his name? Casper? Is his name Casper?
I don't
know. One
know.
of them's name is Casper, I think.
Jasper.
Casper's the ghost.
You know that thing where he's holding the baseball bat and he goes.
Hold on, do that again, Anaj. Do that again.
Okay. He's holding the baseball bat and he goes that, and then like he tips it and he tips it back and he's holding it again. It's really hot. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's sexy vampires playing baseball, and yes, you like it because they're sexy.
Enjoy Twilight for what it is.
Exactly, but when I'm still watching it, I'm saying, what am I watching right now? Sexy vampires playing baseball, and then it quickly cuts to, the bad vampires are here while the good vampires are playing baseball in their baseball suits. So they went to the store and they got the baseball suits, as vampires do. And they said, yeah, we need a family activity. We're playing baseball together. It's just hilarious. It's funny. You can still enjoy it.
Well, it's funny because weren't they born in like the 1850s, and baseball didn't come out for like 70 years. So like for 70 years they just had no hobbies.
Okay, that's the straight up not true, Jonathan. Baseball's been around for a long time.
How long?
There are 1800s baseball stars.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds? Dang.
When did baseball start? Oh, you're right, 1869.
But even then, I'm sure they just transition hobbies as they move on through life. It's not like you pick one thing and then that's it.
What?
You were making the point of like, what did they do before baseball? I'm just saying, I'm sure they had other hobbies. They just transitioned into new ones.
No, who's got time for new hobbies? Just pick a thing and stick to it, But
if you're a vampire, you'd have to adjust to things. Because we as humans, we have limited...
I think what I'm learning today is that Inaki loves Twilight. She loves it.
I don't love Twilight. I think it's an objectively bad movie, but if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to try and enjoy what I can out of it, and the baseball scene is objectively cool. That's all.
I'm trying to think of a scene that I like from Twilight. Oh, yes, there is a scene that I love, and I think it's hilarious. It's when Edward has the shades on, and he comes in with, like, the cool jacket and with his arm around.
Yes.
I love that scene so much. It is so fucking funny. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, I can still get some joy out of Twilight.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucking dumb.
Yeah, I like how our Count Dracula review is only about Twilight now. I think it's been
this is 100% gonna be a highlight. 100%. It's just the Twilight era. Okay. I'm so sad Elizabeth's not here. She would be loving this shit right now.
I think so too. Yeah.
I do just want to say I would have so much more to say about this movie if I didn't think it was just pure trash. It wasn't trash in the way that it was fun. It was just bad. It was.
There's just not much to talk about.
Again, there's not much to talk about, and I'm beating the dead horse. Watch the 1958 version. Just watch it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, this is I think Twilight is a good example here where it's a bad movie, but it's just so outrageous and fun and crazy that there's a lot you can talk about. But yeah, with Count Dracula, it's just like, yeah, this is a vampire, and he sucks blood, and he kills people, and then he dies.
With Twilight, there's at least stuff to latch on to.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Here, it's just a sheer cliff wall. I don't know. I mean, after you talk about it for a little while, I don't think there's much to talk about,
All the zoom-in shots are too long. They're fine, but they last for way too long.
No, I'm gonna disagree. Hard disagree with you there, Naki. Every time it happened, at least something was happening, So at least I was drawn in a little bit. Oh, yes. Also, get this shit. So at one point, Van Helsing has a stroke for no reason.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the plot. It's not like he dies because he's in the other scenes, just in a wheelchair.
It's also instantly resolved. It's also instantly resolved, yes, because he just gets up. He's like, I will overpower my stroke. Ugh. And it's just, why even have him to have a stroke in the first place?
I was answering a text message when it was happening, right, when it started. So I look up and I'm like, wait, did I miss something? Did Dracula poison him or something? And I go back and I'm like, no, there's literally no explanation for him having a stroke. There's no payoff. There's no reason.
I thought maybe it happened like during the taxidermy stuff that he was like so scared he had a stroke. But no, when I was skimming through it again this morning or today, there's nothing. It's unrelated. He just had a stroke at one point and now he's in a wheelchair. And he's not even in it for that
But
long.
He gets up from the wheelchair, so he's not even like incapacitated.
Yeah. Okay, and here's another thing. So, like, the mansion is shown at the very beginning, and then you're stuck in this psychiatric hospital for so long, and it gets stale and boring. And then, like, you never even get to go back to the mansion or anything spooky. Like, the events resolve just in insignificant settings. And I feel like part of the fun of these monster movies are getting to see, like, all the fun spooky stuff,
I would go further to say not even that there's no payoff. What's wrong with this movie? There's no setup and there's no payoff. There's nothing. There's just it is so devoid of any substance that it's right. There's just nothing pulling you in.
Yeah.
at all. I mean, I really, they had to differentiate it. They made him have a mustache. Like, they want to differentiate themselves. And like, let's give Christopher Lee a mustache.
Did you like the mustache?
It is at least something to add to Dracula's character. And I have a mustache right now, and it's a terrible mustache.
Adds to his character. It doesn't add anything, Pear. What are you talking about? It's just
Wait, if mustaches
mustache.
don't add to character, why the hell did I grow out a mustache? Are you telling me this is all in vain, Inaki?
Like, Jonathan, your facial hair looks great, but it doesn't add to your character. It doesn't add to your personality. It's just a.
Well, I might as well go shave it.
No, it doesn't detract from
Look,
it.
Inaki, I want people to like me for my body. I'm tired of girls liking me for just my personality. You know?
Exactly. God, they're only in it for my goddamn personality.
Yeah, what is it with these girls lately, man?
God.
Okay, here's a point. I think Christopher Lee's mustache takes away from the character because I kept laughing at it. It's so. It doesn't fit. I don't think it fits Dracula at all. And Christopher Lee's such a handsome devil, I think it takes away from his handsomeness.
Okay, do you think he should still have the beard though?
A beard is different than a mustache.
I know, but do you think he should? Did you like the beard option?
Wait, when does he get a beard?
Doesn't he have a beard in this movie?
I don't think he has a beard.
I swear to God,
He just has a very thick, like a cop mustache, like a classic cop mustache.
Yeah, it's like goes longer than mine. It goes to like right here.
Yeah, I almost would prefer if Dracula had a mustache like you, Pear.
Oh yeah,
that would be cool.
I kind of it's a little longer, but I almost have like an Orlando Bloom mustache right now.
Yeah, I don't have any other facts to say. Oh, okay. I guess this also adds to the nothingness a little bit. But Christopher Lee and Herbert Lom, who played Van Helsing, they never even saw each other once during filming. They never met. All of their scenes, even together, were filmed separately. So
Nice.
Again, it's just like, it kind of makes sense why all the pieces of dialogue, and they're supposed to be this great duel between them, but there's really nothing of substance. They just
There's more chemistry between Dracula and Van Helsing in Hotel Transylvania 3 than there is in this movie.
Ouch.
I'll say it. I'll stand by it.
I'll also say I'd rather watch Twilight than watch Count Dracula again.
Me too. Me too. Ratings?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, no. I'll say it in my rating.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we've got a pinky up and 3 and a pinky down. 3 thumbs and a pinky down. Who wants to go first?
Let's go positive to negative. So Jonathan, you had the highest.
Okay. This is gonna be I know I just gave it a pinky up after ragging on it this whole time, but let me explain why. Here's my thing. If I were cleaning my living room and this movie was on TV, I'd probably leave it on while I was cleaning, which is more than I can say for some movies. So that's why I gave it a pinky up. It doesn't deserve any more. It really is probably more than it does deserve, but I would never choose to watch this movie with anybody.
I love how a lot of your ratings have this anecdotal story behind them. I guess anecdotal story is a phrase that doesn't make sense, but yeah, we always have a little quip. Like with Herbie Goes Bananas, you're like, if my mom put this movie on while I was a kid, I'd watch it. And now it's if I'm cleaning while watching it, I'd watch it. Yeah. I think it gives nice context.
Yeah, it's all about context, We're more than just numbers here. That's what, when I was on my mission, we had to keep track of how many people we baptized and how many people came to church and how many people we taught. And they're more than just numbers. They're people. And I'm like, sometimes it feels like you're making them just numbers, but that's another story for another time.
I'll phrase my rating the same way you would. Let's see. If this movie came on randomly while I was flipping through the channels, I think I would see Christopher Lee and say, oh my God, this has to be brilliant. And then once I got like 10 minutes in and I realized he wasn't even in there, I think I would flip it off. So, I mean, yeah, I think
You would flip it off?
Oh, no, I don't think it's that bad. I wouldn't flip it off. I would switch it off. I'd turn it off because it just, yeah, I think the biggest problem I had with this movie is I got so bored. I think that's like the lowest insult I can give a movie beyond it being like bad is being bored by it, because I just didn't find it entertaining at the end of the day. And I feel like there are so many other versions of vampire movies and Dracula movies specifically to watch that are so much better that you should just not waste your time with this one. So yeah, that's my rating. Oh, I did a thumbs down and a pinky down. Pear?
Mine was 2 thumbs down, baby. And
all the way, boy.
Let me
all the way.
I think that, so this was put in the reception part of the Wikipedia article about this movie. So Robert Furshing of the New York Times wrote, and this is just so accurate. The movie is plotting, dull, confused, and distant. Those are the best ways to describe this. Plotting, definitely. Dull, nothing happens. Confused, they don't know where they're going with this movie. They don't even set things up. I just think they wanted to make it, so they made it. They didn't have a plan. And I mean, definitely distant. I felt no connection to any of the characters. It's so lacking cohesion, life, plot, anything. Just good shots on screen, good acting. There's nothing good about this. There's nothing good. So I have to just give it 2 thumbs down. I'm not going to give it 2 middle fingers because it didn't offend me or insult me by how bad it was. It was just so, there was absolutely no saving graces. Bad on all accounts. 2 thumbs down. Thank you for that great quote, Robert Furshing, if you're still alive. Okay.
And if you're dead, may someone put a flower on your grave.
Yes, for me, please.
Yeah.
I feel like I've never seen Pear get that. What's the term?
I'm always that way.
Invigorated.
I know, you get passionate, but usually not negatively. You usually get passionate like when you get geeked out about something, you know?
Right. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So, man, it almost feels like this movie did offend you.
No. Well, I mean, watch the 1958 one. Just watch the 1958 one.
I will say this makes me very excited for our next movie, which is anyone?
It was The Shining.
See, that's what I'm gonna get very passionate about too.
Yeah. So to our viewers, if anyone's listening, get hyped for that. I'm because I feel like we've had a few like either bad or just subpar movies these past.
We've had some duds. We've had some duds.
So I'm excited to finally watch something good that I know.
I'm curious, what makes the better review though? The good ones or the duds? I'm not sure.
I think one that's hilariously bad makes a good review, but one that's
true.
Dull,
yeah. Because
right?
today, like, what did we even talk about? Like, we just kept saying it's empty, it's empty, it's empty.
because
and we talked about Twilight.
We're talking about nothing because it is empty. There's nothing to talk about.
I think I've got a question to end on already.
Okay.
So, vampires are sexy, right?
Sure.
So, and being a vampire is basically a curse, right? So, if you would become the sexiest person on the planet, if you became a vampire, would you do it if you had the chance?
Well, I think the implication is that you look beautiful to other people, but you're actually very haggard and gross. It's like witches too, where witches can appear beautiful, but they're actually old haggard women. I think. Because I think that's even part of Nosferatu, where he's so ugly and gross, but he still looks appealing to his victims.
It's kind of musky.
Well, that's all that really matters, right? Most of our self-worth on our appearance is dependent on what others view us as.
Yeah.
So, as long as, and I can't even see myself in the mirror anyways, right? Because I wouldn't show up.
Oh, so you wouldn't know how sexy
I guess it's
you
just
were.
like being Dorian Gray. It's like being Dorian Gray. You look really, really hot, but you know that you're actually not.
Yeah. And also, can't I be a vegetarian like Edward?
No,
that's not. This is like.
That's not right. The whole point is that you're cursed because you have to feed on other people, right?
Yeah,
That's the curse.
Why can't I just eat
It's a
animal.
curse.
Because
Like,
in this version, you can't.
Yeah, you're not satiated by animal blood in the actual legend.
Because if you could be a vegetarian vampire, then obviously you're going to be a sexy vampire. But this is a would you rather scenario. There has to be a drawback.
Okay.
Where you're constantly having this desire to drink and kill your loved ones, right?
Then
so
can I be like Light from Death Note and only kill people who are bad people?
I mean, that's a moral choice, right? I think
What
that's
kind of weeb shit is this?
No.
Fine. Can I be like Dexter then?
You're like Batman, right? Is that there's no like supernatural law where you have to kill the ones that you love. But it's you have to do the work of finding the specific victim. Also, what if they have like AIDS?
Well,
Dude. Oh, so get this. Speaking of actually, Anaki, were you gonna say something? Because I have a vampire AIDS.
I was just gonna say, like, logistically, can I get AIDS as a vampire?
Who knows?
Yeah, because if you ingest it's got to be blood to blood, right? So if you ingest the blood, hold on, I'm
you would
gonna
definitely
Google
get
this.
it. But I'm confused. Like, as a vampire, am I not invincible to a lot of diseases and such? Like, isn't the only things that can kill me is like a stake through the heart? Or
yes, assumedly yes, but it was just I'm curious.
Well, if it doesn't affect me, then it doesn't really matter, does it?
No. I would just still feel really gross about drinking like child molester's blood. Like, yeah, this is gross.
Well,
yeah, that would be kind of gross.
I get what you mean, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I know.
If you drink the blood of a person who is infected with HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and other bloodborne diseases, you would indeed be at significant risk for these diseases. The more blood you drink, the more times you drink another person's blood, the greater the risk of infection.
I wonder who's looking this up. Like, God, I was at that blood party last night.
No! Fuck, get this. Here's the question. Are you ready? This is a question and answer. I recently ended a period in my life where I engaged in consensual blood drinking, cut oneself and allow another to drink your blood, and vice versa. This included 5 people. Holy shit.
Jesus.
How is this a thing?
They're definitely sick with something then. 5 different people's blood? Jesus.
But I'm terrified about infection. On a side note, I have never engaged in unprotected sex. But the blood drinking is what I'm most concerned about, and I have no idea what risk that puts me at. Well, maybe you should have done that before you started drinking blood, for Christ's sake.
Sex, I would never take that risk. But drinking another person's blood, I mean, come on, it's innocent. You're just drinking each other's blood.
Bloodborne diseases aren't a thing.
Oh my God. Okay, I got to get going, guys.
All right.
Okay.
But I will see you later.
Oh, wait, we have to sign off really quick.
Oh, signing off. This is
we're pulling into the station. See you guys. We'll see you next time. Hopefully we're a little better about getting shit out next time. Okay.
We're getting better.
Bye.
We're getting better. Bye.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of The Late Train. Please follow us on our socials, and if you'd like to join us next time, we are going to be watching The Shining, which will be released right on Halloween. So have a safe rest of your October, and we'll see y'all then.